Hello and welcome to PAX and Recreation. And funny because I was like, well, what should I open for the next podcast? And I was like, well, I have some stuff laying around. And literally right next to me, there was a box of Duskmourn play boosters. And I'm like, oh, that's good for a podcast. You know, it's like a lot of stuff, you know, whatnot. And then I realized it's like, we're kind of close to Halloween. I actually mistimed this. This should be like closer to Halloween. But I think that by the time we do Halloween, maybe we will be talking about Avatar. Or no, actually, no, I don't think. I think we still have some time until Avatar. I don't know anymore. That's one of the topics for this podcast. So in case you are new, welcome. This is a podcast / box opening. In case you are already familiar with this, hey, what's up? So before we go to the main attraction, I guess, just a couple of things that I want to address. One is for a friend of the channel, the Dekarken, which I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. See, nunchucks. So, and ironically, these things have like this orange band, and they're not like TMNT branded. It's like real nunchucks from a store that sold like martial arts supplies and shit like that, and happened to have like orange stripes. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm not the only TMNT nerd in the world. So, and fun fact to the conversation we had regarding, you know, Michelangelo having the nunchucks replaced by a grappling hook, and because they deemed that the grappling hook, quote, too violent for kids, however, not the katanas, not the size, not whatever. I always thought that was stupid, and it is to a degree, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I do think, like, you know what? Maybe they have a point, because I remember when I was younger, I played with those, and I played hard with those. And however, you know, you have knives in your house. Well, maybe some kids did that. I don't know. But like you have like knives and shit in your house, and you're not like going like, yeah, I'm Leonardo and trying to cut people. But you know, these are different because you know they are not gonna cut anyone. So, and yeah, you can kill someone, even yourself, with nunchucks if you hit yourself with enough strength in the head. But whatever, I digress. So Duskmourn. So I guess this is like a Halloween podcast, but faster. Maybe for the Halloween one, I think maybe I have like a collector booster for Duskmourn. If not, I have some from Innistrad, and maybe play booster boxes as well. Also, one thing that I wanted to get a hold of is what do you guys prefer, to play boosters or collector boosters? I mean, it seems like an obvious question. Some people may be listening to this and saying like, the collectors. But it's really a format question, because I bought that shit to open it regardless, so it's going to be open at some point, no matter what. Like all the stuff that you see me opening here that is like old, I bought it when the set was released, so it's not like secondhand, you know, price increase stuff. I bought it when the set was released, and I just have it around, not because I'm like stocks, but just because, you know, I keep opening new shit, because that's the nature of the channel and the game, and these things just lay around. So I asked because, well, as you know, the collector booster boxes are significantly smaller than the play booster boxes, and therefore, well, it kind of hurts the pacing of like opening stuff and whatnot. Obviously, the pulls are better, but also that cuts the pace of me talking, because I do realize that since the pulls are better, I find myself doing a lot more of wow, crazy, right? Which, you know, in return also makes you stop doing whatever you're doing and looking at the screen. So I guess I don't know, up for grabs. So open to suggestions. Now for this, funny enough, I don't have like a strong news for Magic the Gathering or any other card games for that matter. It's kind of a chill time right now. This card is nice, by the way. We are in that point where it's like, if you're a Magic the Gathering fan, you are waiting for, well, depending on what type of fan you are, but either you are waiting for Avatar or you are waiting for, more likely, for Lorwyn. But we're in between sets, and I think that the reason why it feels so weird that we're in between sets is that they spoil so much stuff for Avatar and even the TMNT and Lorwyn and all that stuff at the big events, like the Comic-Con and Magic-Con and whatnot, that now we are in between everything and there are no spoilers. There's nothing, right? So it feels like we are frozen in time, which feels weird, right? Because if you listen to me saying this, you will be like, well, isn't that what you guys are always complaining that you want? You want more breathing room between sets. And it's true. I think that the only reason why it feels like we are the line of resonance, like we are waiting in the middle of nothing, is because the previous set, Spider-Man, wasn't that good. And I think the only relevant news that I have for this week, I guess, regarding MTG is really, by the way, you can see the evolution. Here they still weren't committed to not ads, so it was half ad, half token, which I'm okay with. But thankfully, in the current play booster boxes and whatnot, most of the times it's just double-sided token, and that I appreciate. I don't know if they changed that based on feedback or whatnot, but I remember, since I had this channel, I've been complaining about that. When we get a random ad card, it's why? I already buy Magic. Why would you give me an ad for Magic inside a Magic product? And you can be like, oh, but it's for Arena because not everyone plays Arena. It's yeah, but come on, just give me a token or something. And now I feel that they just give us the tokens and that's it. It's true that, if you have to add an ad because of reasons, I prefer the approach that we have here, right? Which is ad on one side, token on the other. And that's not bad. Nice. Ghost Vacuum. And Come Back Wrong, which is still very relevant in the standard. These are so rare now that sometimes I forget we have art cards. But it's also true that they removed them from the play booster boxes. Now they are only in collector boosters, which I guess that makes sense. But at the same time, it's you are slowly transitioning play boosters to draft boosters again. In 1 or 2 sets, we're going to get news that are going to be oh yeah, we removed the multiple slots in the play booster boxes. Now you only have 1 slot for rares. It's well, that's a draft booster, my friend. So it really feels like we are slowly going back to having draft boosters. So we're going to end up in a worse situation, I guess, which is draft boosters and collector boosters. There is no set boosters. So if you want nice looking cards, either you buy the collector boosters or you proxy them. So that's kind of it. But yeah, the only news that I have, Magic related news, is just that apparently at Wizards and whatnot, there is a lot of people are nervous, let's say, because of the Spider-Man set. So the Spider-Man set really flopped, and I saw some of these news and I was it is not the best set in the world, but it can be that it flopped that bad, right? And I went to some of the usual suspect stores, and lo and behold, suddenly, I don't know why or how, but suddenly they have stock for the collector booster boxes again. And I think I've been asking around, and some people said yeah, I canceled mine because maybe I wanted some special treatments, but the cards are shared, and the Soul Stone is not worth it, or blah, 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 all that stuff. So it seems like that's the case, and a lot of stores are so I don't know how you manage that if you're a store. I guess that I worked in retail before, so when sometimes you see a discount on a product, normally it's either option A, the store is well, we may as well just move this stock, and they unilaterally decide on the discount and know that they are going to operate at some level of loss. Sometimes they lose, they don't lose money, they lose profit. Instead of profiting, I don't know, let's say 30%, they're going to profit 10% because you got a 20% discount, right? And that's bad for them, but it's not the end of the world. And sometimes, man, the Jolly Balloon, man. One thing that I want to talk in this podcast about is the passage of time. I know that sounds like a very old person's conversation, but once I finish with like this topic about Spider-Man and whatnot, I really want to talk about this because look at this. I look at the Jolly Balloon, man, and this thing was like an interesting, very cool commander. And I looked at it and go like, man, remember this? And it's like, my brother, this was like last year, right? It's not that long ago. However, it does feel like it was years ago. It's weird. And I don't play Standard that much anymore. And so whenever I go to Arena or whatnot, I do see some of these cards in play, and I'm like, yeah, man, nice. But a lot of these legendary creatures and whatnot, they are not used in Standard. So, yeah. But going back to Spider-Man, I think that, when you're a retail, you do that. And sometimes the distributor is the one that tells you to discount the thing, and they give you like a voucher, or they give you like they return some money to the store, or they give you a discount in the next product, right? So a lot of, for example, with some video game companies and whatnot, let's say that you order, I don't know, let's do like small numbers for the sake of like easy math. Let's say that you order 50 copies of, I don't know, a game that flopped. Well, some Ubisoft game, like, I don't know, like you order like 50 copies of a game, and then it doesn't sell as much, and maybe you order 50 because you had an incentive, or they told you like, no, that sort of stuff. And you're like, okay. And then the next game comes in, and they're like, oh, you need to order the next game. And you're like, nah, brother, I still have stuck from the old game. And if you're a gamer, nice, fear of missing out. And if you're a gamer, you may be thinking, well, game A and game B are not the same game. So it's not like one replaces the other. And that's true. But a lot of retailers don't care, and they have to pretend like they don't care, because when you do that, what the distributor does is like, okay, listen, I will give you some money back for the ones that didn't sell. And sometimes they can't give you like money back. So what they do is they give you a discount in the new product. So, let's say that it's an Electronic Arts game, and I don't know, let's say it flops, right? I don't know, let's say, what's a recent EA game that is not, FC or FIFA or whatever? Man, I am disconnected from Electronic Arts. God damn it. But, okay, let's say Split Fiction, right? I mean, Split Fiction is a great game, but, and it already is kind of at the beginning of the year, but let's say Split Fiction. Let's say that you order 50 copies of Split Fiction because the distributor is like, yeah, man, this shit's going to be rock. And, in defense of Split Fiction, it is a good game. And it sold pretty well, I will say. But let's imagine that it didn't, right? So, and it's like, well, it didn't sell that well, etc. So now you come to FC 26, yeah. So FIFA, right? The football game, or soccer, depending on where you are in the world. And the distributor is like, oh, listen, you got how many copies of FIFA you want, or FC, right? And you're like, not that much, brother, because I still have stock from your previous game. And it's like, both sides know it's not the same game, and both sides know FIFA will sell like crazy, right? But then you go like, and the distributor goes like, okay, listen, I will give you 10% discount on the FIFA, so I will give you like 10 copies of FIFA for free or some shit like that, so that you get some money back. And then when you get that money back, you put the other game at a discount. And sometimes you can do it, and sometimes you can't. Depends really on the distributor and the contracts you have. Nintendo, for example, is very bitchy on putting discounts on their games, and there's not a lot of room for discounts, etc. So I digress. However, I don't know how it is with cards and Wizards, because they do have like different levels of partnership, and based on that you do have different benefits, and I'm not super duper familiar with that. So I don't know to which extent you have like flexibility to, to say like, oh, it didn't sell, But to a degree, I am kind of, I wouldn't say happy, but I'm kind of like, I feel justified, I guess is the word, when I see like a lot of stores with the leftover stock of Spider-Man collector boosters and stuff like that, after getting tens of them and marking that price up to hell and back, and now they can't sell them. I kind of feel, justified a little bit. I don't wish any, for any card business or whatever to go down the drain, because it's our hobby, and I do prefer to buy things at a store that specializes in this than to go to Amazon and whatnot, right? Because for Amazon it's literally a drop in the ocean. They don't care if they sell more Magic, less Magic, whatever. For them, it's money. But if it's Magic or if it is foldable chairs, they don't give a fuck. As long as they get their money, they don't care. But the specialist store that only sells like geek culture stuff, our stuff, and is owned by one dude or a couple or something like that. That thing can make or break a thing. Now, I know some of you may be thinking like, well, they deserved it, because we're trying to always think about the local game stores and whatnot, but they up the price like hell. So collector booster boxes are like $400, $500, $600, and it's like even in LGSs, and it's like, well, if they're gonna play that game, we stop being friends, right? And I said this multiple times, and it's like, listen, I agree that if your local game store starts scalping, they don't deserve your love anymore. But at the same time, I wish to bring some attention to the fact that, hey, nice, Valgaboth. And is it the one from the playmat? No, it's not. It's the other one. It's Valgaboth Terror Eater. I think the one from the playmat is the one from the Commander decks, if I recall correctly. I remember these, and I was like, I like when Wizards does multiple versions of the same card, but I don't know how I feel about multiple versions of the same character when all of them are like mythic. It feels like they did one Valgaboth and they did one for the Commander decks, because in this set, and I will die on that hill, the Commander decks for this set, which if you haven't seen the review, you know what I'm talking about. There's the link, or there, or whatever. Or just look for Duskmourn in the channel. But I will die on the hill that this set is done, the Commander decks for this set are done like in an arch nemesis fashion. You have 3 decks that are like the good guys, and 1 deck that is Valgaboth, and it really, really looks like it's supposed to be played like 3 against 1 to some degree, because not only because of flavor reasons, but because of the mechanics of each deck. It really feels like that, but whatever. So going back to the LGSs, I just want to bring to the attention the fact that I don't want to defend, like, because it may sound like, oh, this guy has an LGS. That's why he has so many cards and shit. And that's why he defends scalpers, because he scalps himself. It's like, no, I don't have a store. Fun fact, I tried to have one. And I contacted multiple distributors. The biggest one told me like, nah, you need like a physical space to sell Magic. And I'm like, what? And it's like, yeah, apparently to be able to sell Magic, if you are not Amazon or a 1,000 other stores, some distributors require you to have a physical space to play Magic. So, which maybe it's a directive from Wizards. I didn't know that. And I tried to arrange it, then, shit happened in life. I couldn't do it. So, and to be honest, it wasn't like my smartest financial move. It's just that I wanted to have an LGS. Oh, this is the bad one. I was like, oh, they stopped doing that, and here it is. I wanted to have an LGS. I wanted to like give back to the community. It's kind of one of those things. Yes, there's a lot of videos on YouTube about card stores and also like video game stores. And there's this guy like Phoenix something that has a YouTube channel that just goes around interviewing like people that own video game stores and car stores and whatever. And basically it's always the same. It's like, yeah, well, it's kind of shit, life is difficult, etc. And this is in the US, and the US may be good for a lot of things, maybe bad for a lot of things. But one thing that you can say for sure that is good in the US is good in certain aspects, I will say, is the consumer culture. Because, I open a store for something. If people really like that something, people will buy that something, right? That's something, and people just buy. That's why we have a lot of the things that we have. And that's why Pokemon is a worldwide phenomenon, but it was carried by the US. A lot of these things are carried by the US. The US people work differently, and they like buying stuff. They like collecting stuff. The whole like second-hand market, whatever, is always pushed forward by the US. And if you see the prices of some of these cards, in Europe they have a price, and in the US they have a different price. And normally in the US the prices are always better. So there is this whole shebang. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. To some degrees, I like it because a lot of my hobbies are shit like this. So I guess that living in a place that people just are more favorable to buy stuff and, move the machine, it's cool. On the other side, you could say that it's like hyper consumerism, and that's why we have 7 Universes Beyond sets, and that's why we have programs like shows, like the one from, I think it's the History Channel or something. The Pawn Stars or some shit like that. That is, the one from the memes that is like, oh, let me call an expert and all that shit. And a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, this is a piece of garbage that I found somewhere. And the expert comes in and is like, oh, that piece of garbage. Oh, that's a legendary piece of garbage. That thing you can sell for $1 million. It's like, oh, that's crazy. And that type of culture is something that, the saying that someone's trash can be someone else's treasure, is a global truth, in my opinion, but it really resonates in the US because people really like things. There's a different culture around things, and I appreciate that, right? So sometimes you see those videos and you see these people with big ass stores, like a lot bigger than a house or 2 houses, or sometimes even bigger than a department store. I don't know. And those guys are saying, oh yeah, this shit is not good, it's very difficult. And you can be like, well, maybe they are just saying it for the camera because no one wants to say they are the greatest and whatever. But I got to think, man, if people in the US are struggling with this shit, in Europe we're kind of fucked. Like it is like this thing is not gonna fly. But still I was like, nah, because when you get to a certain age, or maybe that's me, and this is when we start talking about time and whatnot. Because when I used to finish that point, what I wanted to say about the story is like, well, they are scalping a little bit. They are like upping the prices. But, if they don't, someone is going to buy it at MSRP. They are going to earn almost nothing, the normal percentage. And then those people are going to resell it scalping online. So, and you can be like, well, that's a different problem. It's like, yes, true. But, if someone is going to scalp, if someone is going to get money, I prefer it still is the local game store than some random dude on eBay. You know what I mean? I prefer that no one scalps, don't get me wrong. But I prefer that it's a store than a dude. You know what I mean? I don't know. Because I never bought anything like at a scalper price. Like the most markup that I paid for anything was like 10%. And on the original price, and it was on a secret lair that I bought second hand. Like it was sealed. Okay, I will open it one of these days. I have it there. I was like, oh, I should record it. I was open something else, and it was because I was like, well, I guess it's the only way of getting it, and 10% seemed reasonable, for like a person for holding it for I don't know, 5 years or something. Or 6 years or some shit, I don't know. And for me to be like, well, okay, like it seems reasonable. I don't like it, but okay. Now it's different from like 20, 30, 70, 100%, 200% scalp, right? Like markup. That's crazy. The roller crusher ride. And, I guess that if someone has to get that money, it's the LGS. Well, I prefer it's the LGS. But you may be saying like, well, but if no one buys it, it's like, listen, if no one buys it, it will happen like Spider-Man. It will sit on the shelf of the LGS and the scalper. Unlikely the scalper, or the LGS. It really depends on the economy of each, but they are going to Is what's happening now with Spider-Man. Like they're getting desperate, and the prices go down each week because people are like, well, no one is buying this shit, and this shit is burning in my hands, and there is only X amount of time that people care about the set until it's like old news. So it keeps going down little by little until people buy it again, and they decide that that's the price. And yes, I could sit here and be like, remember, kids, don't buy secondhand, don't buy from scalpers, don't buy. But at the end of the day, it's your money. You do whatever the hell you want with it. You work for it. You sweat your ass up for it. It's like and you want to buy that shit. You couldn't get it firsthand. Firsthand. Like MSRP. And there is a scalper. It's like 30% scalp. You're like, well, fuck. I just want the thing. I get you, brother. You know what I mean? It's like life is hard as it is. And yes, it sucks that there are scalpers, but sometimes you just want that fucking thing. I saw like a post on Reddit the other day. It was like you do have to question if it was legit or someone lying, but it was like a new account, and it was like supposed to be a girl because the username was like girl, anon girl, something, and it was a post saying like, does anyone have an extra Eddie secret lair, because it's all my boyfriend wanted for his birthday or Christmas or something like that, and I couldn't get my hands on it, etc. Someone replied, like, I didn't see the rest of the replies. When I got to that post, the only reply that I saw was one saying, there is eBay, go to eBay, right? And you can be like, well, that can be a troll, that can be someone trying to fish, etc. But I can imagine those scenarios. I mean, I have been that person that sometimes you are like, with Final Fantasy, I was, and I still am that person. Like, I'm missing the gift bundle. Damn, I'm missing like an actual bundle in English. Not because I hate German or anything, but all my cards are in English. I do, well, not all of them. I do have some cards in Spanish, some cards in Portuguese, some cards in German, some cards in Japanese, and it's nice as a rarity. But when I from my main collection, from my binders and all that stuff, because I collect more than I play, sadly, mostly because I can't find people that have my pace to play. You know what I mean? What's the phrase from Sonic? It's like, speed is the game. No, what? Speed is the game, and no, Sonic is the name, and speed is my game. Something like that. Sometimes you just want to. So I understand that for Final Fantasy, and I'm kind of hurt by the fact that I couldn't get a lot of the things that I wanted. And because I wanted to buy, and you can be like, well, buy the singles. It's like, yes, brother, I know. I'm always advocating for that. But I wanted to just buy a product and, do a podcast like this, opening Final Fantasy cards and just being like, oh, look, and doing stupid mistakes like the one I did, saying like, oh, look, it's Squall, the man with the machine gun. And someone was like, that's not Squall. And I was like, oops, which prompted me to play Final Fantasy VIII again. So thank you, I guess. But you know what I mean? So, and you can be like, well, but just buy the proxies. And yes, okay. But I just wanted to just like do my gambling in peace. You know what I mean? Because opening boosters is not ideal. It just like picks your endorphins because you're like, oh, random, what would I get, etc. And it's not a monetary thing for me. It's just like, oh, look, cool card, etc. But I have bought some singles, and as long as they are at a reasonable price. What is a reasonable price? It depends on the card, but I will never buy a single that is like, like for example, you want Vivi, that's like $60. Like, I don't want Vivi that much. I understand that. I understand it's a chase card. I understand it's important for the meta right now and all that shit. I get it, people, but at the end of the day, it's still cardboard. You know what I mean? And I know it's wrong to compare things. Magic needs a lot of people to work on this. You have the factory people that do the actual thing, and you have all the corporate heads in between. But yeah, you have an artist, and you have the art director, and all that people that work just on the art for the set to be cohesive. And then you have the game designers and the play testers and all that shit. There's a lot of people involved in doing a Magic the Gathering set. So, it's not just the cardboard. So it's not just like, oh, this cost them cents, people, and we're paying dollars. It's like, yeah, it costs them more money than this, right? Now, you could argue that maybe they don't do their job properly because of, some instance like Nadu and all that. Which, let's be honest, I will die on the hill that the Nadu thing was like, yeah, it was an accident, but was it really an accident? Like they let it roll too much. So because it sold cards, it sold product, right? So let's not fool anyone here. It's like they are what they are. They are like, oh yeah, we need to ban it, but only after like 3 months or 5 months of people killing each other for those cards. And then after that, they're like, well, I guess we need to ban it. And normally they will be like, oh, we were analyzing it, or oh, we wanted to have the less impact on the players, which means market in their language. And it's like, listen, if that was the case, you would ban it immediately and stop people from buying that card because it was a good card, etc. You know what I mean? So when it comes to your hobbies, it is what it is. You can say like, okay, if no one buys it, and it's like, yes, but there's always going to be someone that buys it. Always. That's why a lot of the, like united resistance things in history didn't work, because there is always someone that is like, actually, I kind of don't want to, or kind of it doesn't match what I believe in, etc. And for a lot of people, even if you get all the Magic the Gathering players in the world, which we are a lot, and from all classes and levels of play, all the people that play Magic, you get them all in a room. It has to be a big room, but, hear me out. And you have a big speech and you go like, listen, if we... Nice, walk-in closet and Forgotten Cellar. I think I have a binder from this set. The art from this set, I loved. And I still do. There are just some things that I don't really enjoy, which is all the 80s shit. I just want it to be like a House of Horrors period. Not to have like Ghostbusters, 80s... Stranger Things kind of vibe to it. I just wanted horror, people. It's not that difficult. But we're doing hats, so this one was the Ghostbusters thing. It had to have a Ghostbusters. But yeah, so if you get all the Magic the Gathering players in a room and you do like a very well written speech, and you tell them, okay, people, listen, if we all agree and we don't buy the shit, right? We don't buy this set, or we don't buy scalper shit, etc. Life is going to improve for everyone. And you can give like scientific, mathematical facts, etc. I can guarantee you at least 30% of that crew is going to be like, nah. And all it takes for that, and a lot of people, if it was voluntary show up, a lot of people wouldn't even show because they were like, fuck, I don't care about that shit. Because it's a full art double room. Like they have so little space that you can even see the logo. Like the set logo is so small in there. Nice. Someone is gonna be like, listen, that's cool. I don't have time for this shit, right? And that person will be within their right. And I kind of agree, Like, and even if sometimes talking to a friend can be like, you can be like, man, this shit is crazy, and they're like, yeah, man, yeah. But then they will be like, well, I don't care. I just want the thing. And if you it's one of those things, when you see like things that are crazy expensive and kind of stupid, but they are being sold anyway to wealthy people, and you're like, man, the wealthy are crazy. It's like, listen, proportionally, for you and I, like $10 is $10. You know what I mean? It's like you're not gonna die for $10, but it's $10. This is starting to sound like that meme, like $20 is $20. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's $10, but for a rich person, that it multiplies. No longer is 10, maybe it's 100, right? And if the richer they are, the more zeros you add to that shit. Sometimes for some rich people, it's like, $1,000, okay, and they don't care, because proportionally they make a lot more money. So for them, and for there are people with a lot of money, like, and even like reasonable levels of money. And that people with reasonable levels of money, for them, it's like, oh, the collector booster box is like, what, $500? Okay, cool. I don't care. Like, I just want Final Fantasy. I just want Spider-Man. I just want Avatar. No, I don't care. Like, I don't have time, maybe because of their job or just because they don't have any patience for it. They don't have time to be in line or to look around in stores to pre-order. They don't give a like their time or patience for them is worth more than the $500 they're gonna chill on that. So if that's gonna happen, because it's always going to happen, I prefer, and this is a kind of a hot take, I prefer that a store that dedicates to sell cards takes the extra benefit. Because if they sell the MSRP, the scalpers that have bots and all that shit, they are going to take that card's MSRP and then mark up the price, and then they get the benefits. And they are not going to do a space for you to go play. They're not going to have they're not going to talk to you about the new sets or like give you lands or give you shit. They're not going to do any of that. They're just going to invest in more bots so that they keep buying more shit, etc. So you know what I mean? I don't agree with any sort of scalping or marking up prices, but if there's going to be any, and even though I don't agree with LGSs that do that, in the greater scheme of things, I guess I prefer to pay the extra to an LGS, even though I don't agree with it. But, because there's always going to be someone that buys it at normal price and scalps it. And there's always going to be someone that buys the marked up version of the product. So, inevitably, I do believe in a just world and all that, but there's always a douchebag, my friend. So it is what it is. So that's what's happened with Spider-Man and with Magic. Now to talk about time and memories. This set, if you've been looking at the cards, maybe some of you are like, man, remember this card? This was just like a year ago, like almost literally a year ago. This wasn't that far away. And yet I look at some of these cards and go like, man, remember this? That shit was crazy. And at the same time, it's like, well, we complain about this set and others because it was like, this set came kind of too close to Bloomburrow. And Bloomburrow was a darling. Like, everyone loves Bloomburrow. It's like mechanically, thematically, that shit is there. You could say, yes, that Bloomburrow, to a degree, is a hat set. It's just the furry animals hat set. But it felt like Magic the Gathering, which to me is kind of all that matters. And then this one came, at the current pace of Magic things, so it kind of too soon, to a degree. And Duskmourn, I was very excited for Duskmourn. I remember when they showed Duskmourn in the list of things, and it was like a house of horror. They were like, oh, it's a plane. The plane is a house. And I was like, that's kind of stupid, but I like it because it's like, if it's like a living house and it's like horror and shit, that thing has to be crazy. And to their credit, I really like a lot of these ideas. Sadly, the things that I don't like is like 30% of the set, which is like the survivors. They're like all dressed in 80s clothes, which, I guess in retrospect, I get it. Like, I never hated this set. I just hated it like 30% because it's like, oh, they have like Ghostbuster tech and all that shit. Is like, okay, I guess. Like, what a way of destroying this. And some people said back in the day, like, well, if it was like 100% horror, it might as well just be Innistrad. And I agree, but at the same time, not really. Like, the horror in here is literally horror. A lot of these things are horrors and fears. There's a lot of cards that is like fear of this, fear of that, fear of, like the manifestations of fears and horrors and like very crazy shit. Innistrad is more like universal monsters type of horror, like vampires, werewolves, zombies, like the classic horror tropes, I will say. This is more like modern horror tropes. Like, you have like wings to The Exorcist. You have like wings to a lot of horror movies, right? Like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a lot of this shit, right? So sadly, they also included the other 80s things. And, I normally say that Kamigawa Neon Dynasty is the beginning of the end, because it's when they started doing hat sets. It's like, well, what if Cyberpunk, right? And people went with it. And now they do that a lot. They do like a little bit first, see if it works, and boom, go full, right? And when it doesn't, it kind of does like a chain effect. Like for Assassin's Creed, they tried. No, actually, for March of the Machine, the Aftermath, they tried. It didn't work. So Assassin's Creed was affected by it, and apparently Spider-Man too. So, designing things 3 years in advance, not that good of a thing if you are that slow to correct your course that everyone from the outside can't really tell what the set was going to be about just by looking at it. So I don't think the 3-year strategy is paying Wizards, but whatever. Even more when you're trying to do like stupid moves. But Kamigawa was the beginning of the end. I think that Duskmourn is one of the few that like tried to incorporate, because we had the March of the Machine and that thing had Transformers on it, remember? But it was like a side thing. It's like, oh, it includes Transformers. You can pull a Transformer card. And it was like a nice bonus. You can ignore it. You can just sell it. It's like whatever. And it was rare enough that it felt, well, rare and valuable. And it is what it is. And they did like, oh, Transformers, because the entire set is artifacts. Get it? Ha 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 ha. And I was like, haha, that's funny, right? It's like same with Ixalan. They did like, oh, Ixalan is dinosaurs. So Jurassic Park, guys. Am I right? And it's like, I guess. With this one, they did like the tie-ins with a secret lair. Instead of putting the things here as an extra sheet, they did a secret lairs. It's like, oh, Chucky and Ghostbusters, right, guys? And those secret lairs took a long time to sell, my friend. Those things were just sitting on the website for a long time because no one gave a rat's ass. And because of that, they did the wink wink on this set. It's like, well, you don't have those things in the set, but we have similar things, so it makes sense. And it's like, but they did the and then see like, okay, so I guess next we can do like a Mad Max thing. When, like it was already planned, right? Don't get me wrong. The signature of this artist is just so freaking cool. Shavrin Ivan or Shavrin Ivan, I don't know how it's pronounced. Ivan Shavrin or Ivan Shavrin, I don't know. So, but the passage of time is interesting. When I look at this box and I was like, hey, Duskmourn, and then I realized it was previous Halloween. And I felt old for a second, even though this is only 1 year old, and we got so many sets. I think it's because of the sets, but also, I guess, life, but the sets. We got so many sets in between that when I look at this, I thought like, well, man, this was a long time ago. And it's like, not really. It was a year ago, which in the past would have meant 3 sets ago, from October to October. You will get this set, and then you get 1, 2, 3, and you get 4 sets per year or 3 sets per year or whatever. But now, it's like 6, 7. So, after this, we got Innistrad Remaster, I think, which they discontinued the remaster sets. We no longer have those. Why? Great question. And they kind of justify it, but whenever they say anything, at this point, I just ignore it and just try to guess the real reasons behind it, looking at the market and the reactions and those stuff. And then we got we got Mad Max or Either Rift, and then we got Tarkir, and then Final Fantasy, and we had sometimes I forgot about Tarkir and Either Drift. And Either Drift, you can be like, well, everyone forgets about Either Drift, and that's funny, and I agree, but Dragonstorm wasn't bad, you know what I mean? It's like, well, sometimes I just forget about it because so much shit happened in between. But it's not only with Magic the Gathering that this happens, not only the oversaturation, but sometimes just forgetting about things. For example, Pokemon ZA Legends or Legends ZA came out this week too. And I completely forgot. For some reason, I thought it was like more like November or something. I don't know. I was like, well, I guess it's coming out one day or something. Like, Nintendo showcased that thing in Directs multiple times. So I was like, well, I guess it's coming one day, whatever. And it released this week. And some people already beat the game in like 2 days or something. Apparently the game is not super long, but I played it a little bit, and I just have to say one thing. I like Pokemon, right? I am a Pokemon kid. I am from that generation, the generation that got hit squarely by Pokemon. So I am the target audience for a lot of these things, me and kids, I guess. But I play that game, and I like the Legends games because I think that they bring freshness, right? So if you play the Pokemon Legends Arceus, or Arceus, depends on how you want to pronounce it. I like that they use the Legend series to try things and see what works and what doesn't, and then implement those in the main line of games. I like that because it's like a safe way to try new ideas without one Pokemon generation being radically different and people not buying them, I guess. Which is, they do a big investment in Pokemon versions, but they didn't do like that big of an investment. For the money that Pokemon generates, they don't invest as much as they could on the games. And to be honest, they don't need to. Like, they just do whatever the hell and they still sell. And that it will keep being like this until, I don't know, something. And that's why you see so many Pokemon fan games and versions like Palworld and all that shit. Because people that grew with Pokemon, now they are old and they know how to do things, and they're like, man, I wish we get this type of Pokemon game, right? And they go and develop it. Nintendo is not happy about that, and you have legal troubles and whatnot. But a lot of the things that people implement in those games is just really like things that we have in all other type of games. And I remember I started playing. Oops, I moved the camera. I started playing Pokemon Legends ZA, and the first thing that struck me, besides you can say like, oh, the graphics is like, well, man, it's a Switch game. Even if you have the Switch 2 edition, it's still a Switch game. And it is what it is. Pokemon was never like a graphical, I prefer them in 2D to, we know the story. But I remember the one thing that struck me like wrong, I don't know if it's because I've been playing like Ghost of Yotei and all that stuff, is that it is translated to multiple languages in text, but the characters, when they talk, there is no audio whatsoever. And you can be like, well, can you imagine dubbing the game in multiple languages? Like, well, yes, I do, because Sony does that, and Microsoft too. Even though we don't talk about Microsoft in this house, I am very disappointed at them, and but they do dub the thing, and you can be like, well, it's Pokemon, okay, then don't dub it, and don't record audio for it, right? But don't dub it. It's dub. It's not dubbed. Dubbed is a different. It's dub. Don't dub it. But maybe just an idea to save money for you and for us, that it doesn't look like such a weird, uncanny valley thing to have the characters talk and hear silence and just the background music. Just do like Animal Crossing, like they move. Oh, nice. Doomsday Excruciator. I love these cards because they are visually cool. Their price is cool, like the mana cost is cool. Like, it's like, oh man, 6 black mana is a 6/6 demon with flying. When Doomsday Excruciator enters, if it was cast, each player exiles all but the bottom 6 cards of their library face down. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card. It's like, wow. So, and it's actually like, you're going to suffer because of this card, because it's all players. So you get 1 card at the beginning of your upkeep plus your drawing phase. So you're actually draining faster than everyone else. But these cards are not that good, but I love that they exist. It's just like badass looking cards. And the art for Bolgabot, not bad. Valgabot, sorry, not Bolgabot. They just put audio like Animal Crossing, like the characters talk and they go like random sounds. And that's okay, because the text in the Pokemon games is already like its own language. It's not in English, it's not in Japanese. So just do like gibberish, like the Sims did, like they just talk like, oh, no, and it didn't make any sense. Do that, but for Pokemon. I don't think anyone is going to be mad at that. I think it's going to be cute. Just do that. On the other side, I have Ghost of Yotei. I've been playing that game. I like it a lot. More than I was hoping to be honest. I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna play this. Looks cool, and I wasn't like super excited about it. Not because of anything in particular. It's just like, eh. But on one side is basically the plot of Kill Bill, which Kill Bill by itself is based on Kurosawa's movie, so everything goes to the same source. But and she's dressed in yellow, my friend. That shit is Kill Bill. Come on. But basically, it's cool. It's kind of some things are cool. Some things just work. It's kind of a simple game. in what it offers and what it wants you to do. Visually, another Doomsday Excruciator. Okay. Visually, it's very beautiful. Mostly in the world, the characters are okay. The main character and the main villains and whatnot, you can tell that they put like extra effort on those faces. Everyone else is kind of okay looking, which is, it is what it is. And mechanically, the game is okay. You get like a bunch of options. I think what hurts this game is that it feels like multiple other games that I have played in my life. Like, it feels like Assassin's Creed. It feels like Far Cry. It feels like, because it's, at the end of the day, it's a sandbox. But a sandbox that you can do multiple things and you can do multiple weapons and whatnot. I feel like they really worked properly the progression. Like, when you learn a new weapon, you just don't learn it. You have to like train for it a little bit. And it's just like gimmicky, but it looks cool because, she's not the messiah of the weapons. She needs to train a little bit and whatnot. And it's it has a little bit of fantasy, even for the main character. Some things that happen are like, okay, I guess. Like, it has a little bit of a fantastical component. And yes, they put a lot of effort on the historical accuracy and all that. And the music is there too, It's cool. I'm playing it with Japanese audio, so it gives the extra feeling of like the Japanese movie and all that. You can play it in Kurosawa mode, which is like crazy, but I prefer to have the colors. I think that the game really blooms with color because of all the flowers and all that shit that have multiple colors. I think in black and white it would look nice as well, but it's not the same. One thing that I don't quite appreciate about the game, and to me, and that happened a little bit with Tsushima too, right? But to me, this is really what's draining my patience with this game, is I can't, and if there is a way, please someone let me know, because I read online, I searched for it. I can't skip conversations. And don't get me wrong, I am not a person that skips conversations in games. It just won't let me. Like, sometimes you just talk to like random secondary characters about random shit. And, I have subtitles. Like, I appreciate, and you can find the irony, how I say like, well, Pokemon doesn't have audio. They should have audio. Also, the same dude playing a different game. Well, the audio is kind of okay. I just want to read, right? But the thing is that for important cutscenes and for important things, I don't jump the what is happening. I look at it and I enjoy it. But for talking to secondary characters about like, oh yeah, my rabbit is lost somewhere, and you have to like go search for it. You just see the text on the bottom and just go like, okay, click, 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 click. I'm used to reading very fast. I read because of reading and just playing a lot of video games. So, and you get the gist of it. One thing that I appreciate about this game is that they don't quite do the stupid thing of like pointing things to you in the map or like with shiny things. You kind of have to listen to what they are saying. But a lot of times it's kind of obvious. It's like right next to you and stuff like that. And me not being able to skip random conversations, any conversation for that matter, it feels like the game doesn't respect my free time. And it really, or my time overall, it really bothers me more than you can imagine. Nice looking art, by the way. It really bothers me. It really, really bothers me. Because it's like, listen, I have X amount of free time to play. I am here because of the looks and the mechanics and whatnot. I understand that Sucker Punch was like, listen, what we are giving to you is an experience. You know how people were like, oh, this game is cool because you feel like Spider-Man. For the Spider-Man game, what we are offering you is that you will feel like a samurai. You will feel like a Japanese warrior. It's like, I get it. You're trying to sell a vibe. But give me the option to skip it. I can't believe that you have like 300 options for accessibility and not the option for me to just go click, click, click and just skip dialogue. And don't get me wrong, I don't skip all the dialogue. I just skip the dialogue that is like, whatever, like, okay, I need to do this, you know what I mean? It really bothers me. It really feels like it doesn't respect my time. And I find myself more often than not when playing that game to do like what I call podcast sessions, which is I put the game, I lower the volume a little bit, and I have like a video on a secondary screen or like a podcast or something, just because a lot of times I will just disconnect from the game. I just looking at it and it's like, oh, now you need to do it. And it's like, yeah, and I just skip because I'm cleaning the map. I'm trying to 100% the thing. And if everyone has to talk and I have to listen to everyone, I'm just like, fuck, I might as well just listen to my podcast, which is not mine, not literally. I don't listen to myself. I'm not that crazy. But what I mean is that just a video or something. You know what I mean? And it sounds like very like Gen Z, like this guy can enjoy a single thing at a time. Don't get me wrong, I can, and I was, until the game was draining my patience, and I was like, nah, you know what? No. And I just started to focus, like double focus, if you can call it, or multitask. So there is that. But one thing that I do want to applaud about the game is that they don't put anything shiny for you to follow. And also, the game has like a little bird assist thing that you can turn off. So you can turn off that thing. That's good. It's not like you have to use that bird thing, because the bird thing guides you to some collectibles and shit. You can totally turn it off because it's kind of weird and it kind of cheapens the exploration a little bit, but it's optional. So that's good. One thing that I will applaud about that game is that you don't get any detective mode or anything like that. You know, Tsushima was kind of the same, but you don't get like we had a decade of games that did the Arkham Asylum thing, which is having a detective vision or a Witcher sense or some shit, which is basically like a mode that is basically like a visual filter that highlights things of interest. And that's cool, but at the same time, it's like having a minimap with everything pointed out of you, just as a list of things to do. I never like that, because even if you're really enjoying the game and you're really like immersed into what the game is offering and all that, you end up playing more time in detective mode than in normal view, and you missed a lot of what the game has to offer to you. And you can be like, well, by the way, last booster. And you can be like, and this booster was like horizontal for some reason. And you can be like, well, don't activate it. And it's like, well, but that's inefficient, because the game is kind of designed for you to use it. So, and it happened in Arkham Asylum. Whenever I have, and Arkham City and all that, whenever I have memories of those games, those memories have the filter of detective vision, because I use that thing a lot. And I think everyone did. Then obviously in cutscenes and fights and whatnot, you didn't have them, but you know what I mean? And The Witcher did the same, and a lot of games did the same. And I was very pleased that Yotei was like, no. Look at the game. And it's like, okay, yes, thank you. And to close with like, man, time does fly. Just next week, we are getting, oh nice, Tyvar the Pummeler, or Tivar, I guess. Just next week, we are getting Ninja Gaiden 4. And I mean, you maybe are like, what? What is it? It's like, I remember that was announced at the beginning of the year, and I was like, man, that thing is, and they announced also the remaster-ish of the second one, which is pretty cool, and I love it. And I remember they announced Ninja Gaiden 4, and I was ecstatic because it's Team Ninja plus Platinum Games. So my heart was exploding. It's like, man, my two loves together doing a hack and slash, sign me right in. Like, I want that shit. Like, I want Christmas. That thing is great. Let's go. And I was like, man, I still have to wait so much. And I don't know if I'm the only one that suffers from this, but this last year has been so crazy with shit from all sides, not only cards, like just shit from all sides, that just before recording this podcast, I was looking at something and had Steam open in a different window. And you know how they do like recommended things for you and whatnot? One of the recommended things was like upcoming games. And it was Ninja Gaiden 4, which I think I have it in the wish list, or I don't remember. And I was like, oh yeah, that thing is coming. It's like, it was like upcoming next week or something like that. I don't know. I clicked on it. I was like, when is this thing coming out? It's like, it's in 3 days. And I was like, that feeling that you're like, oh man, like you're getting visits and you're not even dressed. You're like in your pajamas. I have the same feeling because like, man, it's already that time. Time has already passed that fast. Damn. And I'm getting the same feeling with other things that I've been waiting for a long time. Like, because I kind of, maybe, I don't know, to cope with the waiting. I don't know if I'm the only person that does this. I look at the date and I go like, oh, okay, cool. And if it's not like immediate, I throw it forward in my brain. Like, it's later. And then I forget about it. And basically what happens is, for example, Metroid Prime 4, it's like, it's also coming in a few weeks, or is it December or November? I think it's November, right? When the game comes out. See, I don't know. And I'm going to be like, man, that thing is coming out, and I will be very happy. And because I'm not waiting actively on it, I don't know. I think it's like a defense mechanism that I developed to to not be overexcitedly waiting for things and be like, man, it never comes. That thing it's never coming out, and just like waiting for it, like a kid waiting for Christmas. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but those are the pools. I think I pulled a couple of decent cards, Valgabos, Tivar or Tyvar, whatever you call it. Like a couple of decent pools, a couple of the good lands too. You activate only if you have a X or Y lands. Those are very cool. A couple of those. Overall, it's interesting how it feels, and I don't want to sound like a hater. I really try to not sound like a hater in these videos, but sometimes when opening things like this, and mind you, Duskmourn is not, it's not Theros or something like that, right? It's not part of my childhood. It's not part of my younger years, right? And it's not like my finest, most beloved memories of Magic. Yee whiz, you know what I mean? This is last year, and it's really just Magic, just like the Magic IP. Just they invented a lot of shit. And just opening this and looking at the art, and yes, there is a little bit of nostalgia here because it's like, oh, this was last year. Remember last year? Remember that Halloween? That was very cool. And all the Nightmare bundles and all that shit, right? It's like, oh, cool. And we open all that. If you know what I'm talking about, there are videos in the channel. Look for it. Just put Duskmourn in the channel search. But I don't know, it feels cool. And this comes from a person that, for example, I really like Final Fantasy. And I opened Final Fantasy and I was happy, right? I really like I like Fallout. I don't like Fallout as much as I like Final Fantasy, but I like Fallout. We also opened those. Like, it was Commander Decks, it's a different story, but you know what I mean. When I opened the collector boosters for Doctor Who, I was already watching Doctor Who, so I was kind of a fan already. And I guess with Avatar the same will happen. Like, I enjoyed Avatar a lot. I wouldn't say I'm like an Avatar head, but I enjoyed it a lot. And I guess with the Ninja Turtles and with the Lord of the Rings the same. I was like, man, look at this, look at that, right? I really like the Lord of the Rings. And with the TMNT, I guess you will see me geek out a lot, right? Because I'll be, oh man, look at this, wow, right? All that shit. With Spider-Man to a degree too, like I don't like mechanically the set, but I like a Spider-Man, right? Someone commented in one video like, well, you keep buying this shit, you are part of the problem. It's like, well, I agree, don't get me wrong. I do say in the video, in the same video that person commented, that it was a podcast, I think, that the only reason why sometimes I force myself to buy a little bit of the recent stuff just for the sake of the channel, because I know that people want to see some of the new stuff. And I like Magic, right? It's not like no one put a gun to my head and it's like, oh, buy a Spider-Man. It's like, I like Spider-Man. I wouldn't buy that much Spider-Man if it wasn't because of the channel. I would likely buy like the bundle and the gift bundle, just because I like bundles. It's my thing. You see bundle mania in the channel, right? It's like, it is what it is. So, but yeah, buying a play booster box, I didn't buy a collector's because, I don't pay for markup. So it is what it is. But because I like Spider-Man, and even me as a Spider-Man fan, I'm a very avid comic book fan. I'm not like, I'm not a comic explain level of comic book fan, but like, I like my shit. I grew up with that. I look at those cards and I'm like, okay, this is cool. This is interesting. So, and when I get the comic book art cards, that it has like the McFarlane art and whatnot, I go like, yeah, that's crazy. I mean, if you see this channel, I also do figures and shit. And I have other hobbies, right? That's why I'm talking about video games in this podcast too. But I don't know. It doesn't quite take my imagination to places like this. You know what I mean? I think that's my parting comment. I think that what I really enjoyed always about Magic the Gathering, right? People go to Magic for multiple reasons, and people have different stories about Magic. Like, if you listen to the prof, for him it was a very important part of his life, and he made friends. And I want to believe his wife too through this. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. I maybe got that wrong, but and I have a similar thing. Like for me, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is one of the most important things I ever experienced in my life, because it changed my life in a lot of ways. It put me in a different path. It gave me like a dream, a hobby, right? A lot of shit, right? I can talk about that one day, I guess. But the thing is that, and I also like Magic, but for example, I compare my enjoyment of Magic to someone else's enjoyment of Magic. And we all like Magic for different reasons, right? Like one of my friends really loves Magic. but they only like Magic. Like, well, not only, but like their main thing for Magic is like deck building. They really like deck building and doing like crazy shit and doing like crazy combos. And I love playing against that guy because he comes with the weirdest fucking combinations. And he's a tryhard. I am a tryhard. We have a great time, right? I have another friend that just really enjoys the lore and the art of the cards. And I think that different people have different places to enjoy this. And when it comes to Magic, maybe because of a childhood trauma, because we couldn't get many cards of any type because, money wasn't a thing. To me, Magic is more about submerging, like putting myself in like looking at the world that it's showing me and collecting the cards and be like, whoa, look at this shit, look at that's crazy. I love playing Magic, don't get me wrong. Anyone that played against me knows that I'm a fucking tryhard. And I want to think that I'm not obnoxious, but I really enjoy playing, and I will be like, hey, one more, even if I lose, right? Just because I don't need to win. I just like pew pew pew. If you come up with a crazy strategy, with a crazy combo, with a crazy shit, I am in for that shit. My love for playing the game actually comes from Yu-Gi-Oh, because I watched Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid, right? So I'm like, oh man, time to duel, and doing the reverses, and you activated my trap card and all that shit. Magic doesn't have a trap card, but it has similar things like counter spells. So, but to me, it's always going to these windows of imagination. Like the mechanics are important, don't get me wrong. The game is important, don't get me wrong. But to me at least, the top thing that I enjoy the most is the windows of imagination, of like looking at this and going like, oh, resurrected cultist. Oh man, look at this shit. And it's like, okay, go. Then it's like, Osseous stick twister. I was like, man, this shit is crazy, right? And then imagining like how does this plane work, right? Because these creatures are, in my head, if they are commons and uncommons, they technically are just walking around, right? They're like, it's like Pokemon, right? They're like normal Pokemon. They're just running around. They are things. The mythics are the ones that you don't see as much, right? Are the ones that are weird. Obviously, it doesn't translate to that like 100%, but you know what I mean, because you can have like legendary creatures in uncommon, and legendary means unique, quite literally, in Magic at least. So, it's like, not because, but for example, I see these Doomsday Excruciator. I like to think that either there is only one of these, or it's like there are 4 of these or something, maybe 6, because to follow the flavor. And they go around and they are like these judges of doom or some shit, like, just thinking of how it will work. And then in my head also thinking like, can you imagine a game, like a video game, set in Duskmourn, how it will look, and you are the survivors and shit. And you can be like, well, that's like Dead by Deadlight or something like that. It's like, yeah, maybe, or like Amnesia, The Bunker or something. That can be, But to me, that's what Magic takes me to. So it loses a lot of that when it's an established IP, because I already know those worlds from a far better window. Like when I play Fallout, I kind of already played Fallout. You can't beat that. To me, video games are the ultimate window to entertainment, because you have kind of the best aspects of all the arts. You have the visual aspect of painting, right? Of art, of drawing. You have the music aspect. You have the sound. You have art and paintings. Well, art is everything. You have painting. You have music. You have movies, because you have to do like the transitions, the camera angles, all the cinematic angle to it. So you also have that. You have writing, because you have to write the story. You have to write characters. You have all that. So you put all together, and on top of that, you have something that none of the others have, which is interaction. So obviously, something like Fallout, even if I am not the biggest Fallout fan, trust me, I'm not. New Vegas for life, everything else is okay, I guess. The thing is in 3D, because I like the OGs actually. I played the OGs back in the day, but the 1 and 2 tactics is a thing. So to me, playing Fallout is cool. Looking at the cards for Fallout, to me, it's like, haha, I remember the thing, but it doesn't take me there. It's just like, haha, because I already experienced that. And with the TMNT, it's going to be the same. And with Lord of the Rings, it's going to be the same. It's more like, however, when it's a Magic set, they come up with that. The other day, I was showing one of my friends some of the cards for Lorwing, and it's like the dude for the dawn, the dude from the darkness, and it's like that lore and that shit. And those creatures like walk around, and that's why they have like day and night and all that shit. It's like, that's fucking cool. That's exactly what I want. Take me to different windows. And even if you don't take me to a new window every time, because it's difficult to imagine new things all the time. And trust me, Lorwyn is not new. Lorwyn already existed. As the prof made a point of making everyone know that. Revisiting stuff sometimes is very cool. Like, for example, I love Theros with a passion. I love Theros a lot. And I'm very aware that Theros is just a Greek mythology rehashed, right? I know. Because I love Greek mythology. I love Age of Mythology. That's why it triggered my love for mythology. By the way, Hades too, also, right? But pretty good stuff. So, all this to say, even Theros, that is kind of derivative, the angle that Magic has, and the whole thing with Elspeth and all that shit, like, I really love that. So I don't know. I think that's the best way to express why I don't get that excited about Universes Beyond. I don't hate it. And I appreciate that, for example, Star Trek. I couldn't care less about Star Trek, but I'm pretty sure that some people are like, yeah, man, I wish 365 days passed like this so I can have my Star Trek cards. And for those people, I'm happy. But even for the things that I love, like the TMNT, I'm like, okay. Like, I'm going to buy some of that stuff and I'm going to love some of those cards. I'm going to hug them and, and that shit. Like, I love the TMNT, but to me, it will be Magic, yes, because it's in the same system. But to me, it's not Magic the Gathering. It's like Magic and Friends, kind of. It's like a thing on the side. Like, it doesn't take me to places, which is what I like from Magic. But, that's just me. I will stop talking because, I'm not showing any cards on the screen, so likely half of you already went. But that's today's podcast. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all those things that the cool kids have to say because YouTube. And if you have any topic that you want me to tackle, any game, any weird question or shit, just let me know. Let me know in the comments. I will be more than happy to talk about that shit. Sometimes it helps because, for better or worse, we don't have that many news from Magic or from other card games a lot of the time. So, I just don't want to, like, every week be like, oh, Magic is bad. Oh, Magic is bad. It's like, there is no point in doing that. The problem is that they're there. We already know them. It is what it is. So might as well talk about other things that we enjoy, or just focus on the things we enjoy, like things from sets from the past. The long distant past of 1 year ago. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you had a great time and nice day, evening, whatever time you're in. See you next time on Packs and Recreation.